In the headlines, Dominicans relieved as state of emergency and curfew order expire. A 15th July target for reopening Dominica's borders to nationals. And parents assured of safety protocols during this year's Grade 6 National Assessment. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this.
Flow helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
Thank you for staying with us. First up, Dominicans are breathing a sigh of relief as a state of emergency and a curfew order imposed earlier this year expired on Tuesday. Attorney General Levi Peters said on Wednesday these measures taken to limit the spread of COVID-19 and protect citizens will not be reimposed. The Attorney General says early action of the government and cooperation of health workers, police, and others has been able to effectively manage the pandemic and minimize its impact on citizens.
The effective management of COVID and the attitude and adherence of the populace has led to the position that the government is now able, on the recommendation of those advising in that regard, to bring the state of emergency to an end, or more accurately, to allow the state of emergency and curfew orders to come to an end. As you're aware, the state of emergency, which was declared by His Excellency the President of Dominica by proclamation in SRO 14 of 2020 on the 1st of April of 2020, which was subsequently extended by Parliament on the 6th of April, expired yesterday by effluxion of time. That's yesterday, the 30th of June, that SRO came to an end. Similarly, the Emergency Powers Curfew Order SRO 15 of 2020, which was also issued by His Excellency the President on the 1st of April, has also come to an end as of yesterday, the 30th of June. That is to say that as of today, Wednesday, the 1st of July 2020, all of the restrictions and impositions introduced under the proclamation SRO 14 of 2020 and under the curfew order SRO 15 of 2020 will no longer be enforced.
The Attorney General went on to outline the implications of the termination of the curfew order and state of emergency, warning there is still need to exercise caution.
All places of worship, shops, stores, supermarkets, gyms, hair and beauty salons, barber shops, restaurants, and other business places, offices and activities are now free to open and to operate, and to do so freely, apart from the fact of having to recognize certain health-related regulations and protocols which will be in operation and will be detailed subsequently. I'm sure the Minister of Health will indicate some more in that regard. And those regulations and protocols will be finalized and formalized over the coming days. Before I close, I think I should say that it is important, very important in fact, that all citizens, residents and others realize that in spite of the fact that the state of emergency and the curfew order have not been reimposed or extended, that is not to say that we are free from concern as regards COVID-19. Indeed, the danger continues, and it behooves all of us as citizens and residents to adhere closely to all the protocols and all the guidance and any regulations that will be in place and we will be notified of in due course.
In other top stories, 15th July and 7th August are the target dates for the reopening of Dominica's borders. 15th July for returning nationals and 7th August for non-nationals. National Security Minister Reuben Blackmore says these dates are not cast in stone and could be adjusted if necessary.
It's important to note that this time horizon can be changed based on circumstances surrounding the control and management of the spread of this deadly virus overseas. Let me say, once our borders are reopened, a well-coordinated process by the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Health, which is the lead ministry, the Ministry of Tourism, the Departments of Customs and DASPA, and all the relevant players will be applied. This process, as you will hear from the Minister for Health, and you have heard before, quite eloquently from the Minister of Health and the Prime Minister, this process will include, but not limited to, conducting, and that's important, reliable testing instrument upon arrival. And also, quarantine, contact tracing when necessary, the increasing of testing, among other things.
The National Security Minister warns strict measures will be put in place to ensure the country remains safe.
Notwithstanding the end of the curfew, the order, we are also contemplating the issuing of an order by the Minister for Home Affairs to mandate people to wear masks in public places. Because as we open our borders, notwithstanding all the systems we may put in place, we're also opening to the risk associated. So we have to ensure that the requisite protocols are maintained and also adhered to.
On to educational matters. Parents reassure that all safety protocols will be observed when children sit this year's Grade 6 National Assessment. Here is Julian Morris with that story.
The assurance from Senior Education Officer with responsibility for curriculum measurement and evaluation, Robert Gist. The school leaving exam is scheduled for Tuesday, 7th July, less than 7 days away. Parents are being assured that safety protocols issued by the Ministry of Health will be observed before, during and after children sit the exam.
Temperature screening will occur at every school the morning of the exam, before the exams. So we will have electronic thermometers where students' temperatures will be taken. Face covering or mask will be worn by students, supervisors, and support staff where feasible. And they may be removed only when students are doing the exam. Again, the reason for this is because some students may have anxiety attacks, and the mask may make it a bit more difficult for them to breathe. We want the students to be extremely relaxed during the exam.
Children are being advised to come into the exam room with their own sanitization items, though the ministry will also provide rubbing alcohol, masks, bins, and sanitizers to the schools.
In terms of health and sanitation during the exams, we expect students and everyone involved in the exam to note that coughing and sneezing must be done in a tissue or using the flexed elbow. And all used tissue must be discarded in a bin. And these will be made available at the school. Hand washing will be encouraged and will be done before, between, and after the exams, each exam. Students are encouraged to bring along a personal pouch containing packets of hand tissue, hand sanitizer, or alcohol.
As regards social distancing, Gist says this is key, as pupils who look forward to interacting with their peers will not be allowed to do so.
In terms of the social distancing protocols, we will promote social distancing and non-essential gathering will be discouraged. Okay, so so we will maintain social distancing during the exams, between the exams, and even at the end of the exams when the students are dismissed. And one thing that we will ask the supervisors to ensure is that there will be no hugging, no shaking of hands, no holding of hands, no kissing. We don't want the students to touch each other. We know that they have not seen each other for at least 3 months, and July will make it about 4 months, so we are discouraging that.
The Grade 6 National Assessment, which has been reduced to a one-day sitting this year, will run from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Tuesday, 7th July.
On to agricultural developments. Thousands of farmers around the country have begun receiving tools and motorized equipment under a multi-million-dollar World Bank-funded project. We again join Julian Morris with the details.
The Emergency Agriculture, Livelihoods and Climate Resilience Project saw farmers signing up since last year for tools, equipment and inputs to help restore their farms. Farmers began receiving fertilizer and other inputs earlier this year. However, tools and equipment only started being distributed late June. Warehouse Supervisor Nisha Francis says a shipment of tools recently arrived on island for distribution among farmers approved under this project.
We got that shipment in, so farmers have been coming in. Some of them have been waiting since January, so they finally relieved to be coming in to receive these tools, equipments, and other inputs that they've been expecting. So far, so good. Like everything else, there's these challenges in terms of like people not wanting to be patient. You know, some of our farmers can be very impatient because they tell you, they leave their farms to come here to pick up and so on. So they would wish that it would be like a speedier process. So that's why we've implemented this appointment system, which we think will be more efficient for them in that they won't have to waste their time and walk in and not be able to get served, but instead they have a designated day and time so they know for sure that they will be served.
Distribution of fertilizers and agrochemicals takes place at the 4 distribution centers around the country. To date, the value of inputs received stands at over 5 million EC dollars. However, as regards the distribution of tools and motorized equipment, this only happens at the DAPEX building in Fonkole for farmers across all 7 agricultural regions.
We're expecting thousands of farmers because so far I can tell you we've served roughly over 1,200 farmers in terms of just fertilizer. So we can expect about that amount and more because we've just reopened the program, signing on new farmers. So they also have to get tools and equipment. Any given day, we can see anywhere from 25 to 30 farmers. On average, we schedule for about 20 farmers a day. But we have the walk-ins that sometimes we tell them we're booked and they'll tell you, I'll wait. It doesn't matter if I have to wait to be the last person, but because I came from so far or because I have so many other things to do, I'm going to wait. And they wait, so we end up serving like sometimes 30, 32, 35 farmers a day.
Francis says farmers are extremely grateful for the inputs and equipment as it helps to restore livelihoods.
Normally, like on our way, like going through Londonderry, going through Portsmouth Field meets, a lot of farmers are along that agricultural belt. So they'll stop you in the streets and so on, and they'll tell you, Miss Francis, you know what, that Miss Blower you gave me last week, oh my gosh, that helped me so much because I had this butterfly or whatever affecting my farm, now I can spray for it. Or that drain shovel that I just got, man, I really needed to dig that hole there, and it has been. So we see the impact and so on, and they even come back here and tell us the impact that we're having on them.
Irrigation systems, sprinklers, water hoses, mist blowers and knapsacks are among top demands by farmers requesting tools and motorized equipment.
You are watching the Channel 5 News. Stay tuned for more after the break.
A new in-home experience is here. All your services bundled into one simple plan. Faster, more reliable Wi-Fi so that you can binge, play, and stream uninterrupted. Unlimited Flow local landline minutes mean you can talk and talk and talk. Plus the best in TV entertainment with over 120 channels and 29 in HD. All for $160 a month with the new all-in bundle. With Flow, it only gets better.
Welcome back. Government is currently fine-tuning various protocols which will be implemented to work in tandem with the reopening of Dominica's borders later this month. The health minister says these protocols are tailored to suit Dominica's specific circumstances.
There is the pre-arrival screening questionnaire which must be filled out at least 24 hours before arrival in Dominica. This can be done online, and if not so, it will be done at a kiosk at the ports of entry. Apart from that, there must be a PCR test done from an accredited lab 24 to 72 hours prior to arrival in Dominica. On arrival, there will also be thermal screening, that's a temperature check. There will also be rapid antibody testing. And based on the rapid antibody testing, there can be a secondary screening site where we can actually do PCR swabbing as well. Following all of these measures, we have the different levels of quarantine, which could be self-quarantine, it could be government facility quarantine, or it could be hotels or guest houses which have been certified by the Ministry of Health.
The health minister reiterated that there are no blueprints on how borders are opened, making it a new experience for all governments.
Our overall objective is that of risk minimization, considering the possibility of importing the virus when borders are opened, preventing economic collapse, and recognizing the hardships of Dominicans wanting to return home. Stakeholders need stable, realistic protocols which reflects our understanding of capabilities and capacity as regards to detection, containment, and management.
Director of Lifeline Ministries views a well-structured communication system to assist the most vulnerable in society as a much-needed mechanism in Dominica. Lifeline Ministries is a faith-based non-governmental organization looking to develop its counseling system to better assist people in need. Director of Lifeline Ministries, Tina Alexander, says the number of calls for assistance financially and otherwise had increased significantly during the COVID-19 outbreak. She believes more structured systems need to be put in place, not just to assist those impacted by the pandemic, but the most vulnerable in society.
We need to get some funding for it so that it can be professional counsellors and not just people listening, because professional counselling is a particular thing. It's not something that is just someone listening to you. There's a difference between professional counselling and psychosocial support. And so we might have to do a bit of education so that people understand the difference between getting advice and somebody saying, making you have time to talk, and having counselling, which is something where you're trying to effect change in yourself and move from where you are to where you want to be.
Dominica ended the majority of its COVID-19 restrictions on Wednesday. However, Alexander would like to see the deepened relationship with non-governmental organizations to help the less fortunate continue.
The collaboration with government has been really good, especially gender. The Bureau of Gender Affairs seems to have got a new lease of life, and they are reaching out to us and other NGOs very effectively, and we're enjoying that new relationship. And some of the new ministries with the reorganisation since the last election, there's been some reaching out and wanting to partner with civil society, and I hope that stays as a permanent feature. And I think if people can have a new concern for other people, that's what I'd like to see. So I'd like to see an increase in volunteering.
And Dominicans being encouraged to spend their vacation dollars at home. The Minister for Tourism says the reopening of the tourism sector is focused on staycations. Denise Charles says it is an opportunity for Dominicans to patronize the country's world-class resorts and hotels.
Currently, we are extremely excited to have over 10 properties express interest in participating in Staycation 2020 themed Experience Dominica. We also have 4 companies that are offering activities. Staycation 2020 properties will be offering attractive rates and packages. Folks who would typically travel to the US in the summer will have a lot to do and a strong alternative to Disney and Florida. We want to see as many people as possible patronize our local resorts and hotels. So you can and strongly recommend to your friends and families here and abroad. They will see many reasons to visit Dominica once we finally reopen to all visitors.
Minister Charles says properties must be certified before they can participate in Staycation 2020.
Secret Bay, Sunset Bay Club, Tambourine Tree, Manikou River, SeaWorld Guest House, Fort Young Hotel, Atlantic View Resort, the Champs Hotel, Harmony Villa, Mango Island Lodges, Rosalie Bay Resort, Extreme Dominica, Rainforest Riding, Beno Tours, Shy Guy Tours, and Kempinski Resort and Spa. We encourage all Dominicans to go out over the next few weeks to rediscover our beautiful island and patronize the properties and service providers that will be open. As indicated earlier, Staycation 2020 will also enable our properties and activity providers to safely fine-tune their reopening protocols. For accommodation, specific protocols have been developed for management and supervision, general operations, guest arrival, front desk and lobby area, amenities like pool, gym or spa, conference spaces, food and beverage, room service, public areas, housekeeping, employee staff area, signage, supplies. The Environmental Health Department and the Quality Assurance Unit at DDA are working with the DHTA and other property owners to develop the plans so they can be reviewed and approved. Once approved, the properties will be assessed and then certified. So you will only be able to open once you have been certified, after which all Dominicans can enjoy staycations.
Helps you stay connected to what matters. Simple plans and a better network mean that you can enjoy 7 days of unlimited social messaging, 3 gigabytes of reliable data to use as you like, 700 local anywhere calls and texts with the always-on prepaid plan, all for $29. Keep your number when you switch to Dominica's most reliable LTE network. Buy wherever you top up. Switch to Flow. It only gets better.
To end the news, the headlines again. Dominicans relieved as state of emergency and curfew order expire. A 15th July target for reopening Dominica's borders to nationals. And the parents assured of safety protocols during this year's Grade 6 National Assessment. Feel free to access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Andrea Louis. And to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us tomorrow.